What's good, beautiful people? I'm the Black Thumb, and this is my man's
Ayati.
And welcome to New to the Game podcast, the podcast for the casual NBA fan.
Now, the casual NBA fan is a person that's more interested in the culture, the fashion, the music, the drama.
All right, so what are we talking about today, Ayati?
Man, today we're going to talk about love.
Okay, all
love
right.
in its very many forms.
Okay, all right. So I'm excited about this, folks. This is an Ayati-led episode today, so this is gonna be fun, and yeah, it's gonna be a little something different. So again, we're gonna do 4 6-minute quarters. Each quarter will be a different topic around our topic of love. Each of us have 1 timeout per half. Timeouts are 1 minute. You can use them whenever you want, and that's really it.
Yeah.
So with that being said, let's get it started.
Let's jump into that first quarter.
And we in there.
All right. First quarter is going to revolve around a TV show called Reasonable Doubt.
Yes.
Now, Reasonable Doubt is on Hulu, executive produced and created by Ramla Muhammad. Now, if you haven't had a chance to check out this show, please believe that this person has an incredible skill set because she worked on Scandal. Now, if you wasn't a fan of Scandal, you are not on Earth at this point.
That's real.
So, Reasonable Doubt definitely jumps out the gate, ready to roll. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And you're going to understand why we say it's under the umbrella of love. All right, we're going to start and let you give us how your take on Reasonable Doubt so far.
Okay, so first things first, disclaimer, we're going to have lots of spoilers in this conversation. So
yeah, we're going to run this shit for you.
So maybe watch it, come back to it, whatever. For me, it was like from a relationship standpoint, there were a couple of things that really like rang big for me. And the first one was like when people show you who they are, believe them. Like I think there were so many red flags in some of the characters throughout season 1, in particular Damon, Braden. Like there were so many red flags in their character throughout. And it felt like Jax, who's the main character, was having a hard time putting 2 and 2 together, and was really kind of the one person that was the most consistent, the one person that I would say had the most green flags, which was the person that she was with, Lewis, her husband. Mm-hmm. Like she was continuously just like pushing him away, pushing him aside, and so for me it was just like, okay. Like you can't see these toxic traits in other people, but then it also like I think what was really well done in the show was like how they developed like the theme of how trauma shapes who you are, and not just like who you are as a person, but who you are in relationships. So like the relationships that Jax had early on in her childhood, and even the relationships and things that happened to Braden in his childhood, and how it shaped their past. So those were like the 2 big themes for me. What stood out to you from season 1?
For me, it's like out the gate, this shit was drama,
Yes.
drama. Like I keep saying that, hey, there's love in there, but the love is like not your typical love.
Correct.
She got a side dude chick, but she's dealing with like possible divorce. She's balancing what she loved, which is her career. She loved her kids. She's trying to manage that. She got family. She got friends. And it's just like a hot mess, low key.
Yeah.
But it's like, she look good while she's doing this shit.
Right.
The whole time, I'm going to be fly. I'm going to handle this shit. Like, she juggling a bunch of shit at the same time. But I'm going to be fly when I'm doing it. And it's like, I'm kind of creating these messes. But I'm also just like, and I'm not going to really trip on them too much. So, I'm going to spoil some shit for you. So... She started linking up with a dude, Michael Ealy,
mm-hmm.
her old defendant from back in the day when she was a public defender that got out of jail. I guess that jail tender. that jail tender. He hot, but he ain't shit. Like you can kind of tell, like he ain't really got shit going. He been in jail for 16 years. You got a husband that's a fucking video game maker.
Mm-hmm.
2 beautiful kids. Y'all live in the motherfucking, must be Ladera.
Yeah, it was Ladera. It was clearly Ladera Heights.
I'm from Compton. I don't know none of this LA shit, but it's like, it was nice. It's a lot of references in this show about certain parts of LA, and I'm pretty sure LA people like, oh,
bruh, there was that Simply Wholesome so much. I love Simply Wholesome. I love Simply Wholesome.
It's like a legitimate all the spots.
Yes.
Like LA spots
yes,
is in this show, and I'm sitting there like, I ain't never been there really, low key. I ain't been to none of this shit. I stay out of them neighborhoods. Slauson, I don't go on Slauson. Fuck all that shit. So it's just all this shit going on. And it's like, wow, okay. How do you manage it and stay loving?
Yeah.
And I feel like, you wouldn't consider that a love story, but it's like, girl, you dealing with a thug out of jail? I mean, and your husband is a computer programmer already? It doesn't make sense, but I don't want to call this black love because I just feel like it's trauma love.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we attach trauma to black, and I don't think that's kind of what.
Right. I don't think
that's not how it goes down. But it just seems that we relate to it a lot more than other people, and can understand these perspectives.
For sure.
So that's why, like, I think the viewers like some people probably wouldn't get why. How would you be attracted to the motherfucker from out of jail? When trauma's involved, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's like, it makes for really good TV.
Absolutely.
So I'm just like, hey, this shit was wild off jump. But for me, as a regular ass black dude, I'm up here rooting for Lewis.
Yeah, same.
I'm saying, like, what the
100%.
fuck? Like, what do he gotta do? He gotta go over and bust him out over the head? Like, he just stand there. He just keeps being that guy. Being supportive.
Yeah, and I think, and we'll finish on this note. What I loved about the show was, number one, it weaved in themes that happen at a larger scale in society, like women falling for the bad boy, as opposed to seeing what they have in the nice guy who's like kind of cookie cutter, so to speak, has his stuff together. I think, but then they also leaned into things that were very specific to black culture and their thoughts around therapy. And it's like, all I need is my Bible, and when her mom was like, all I need is my Bible and my wine, and I'm good. You know what I'm saying? And so like, so I felt like the show hit on so many different levels. It was very well layered. There were lots of different plots. And at the end, it had you thinking like, dang, who really committed this murder? But then when you found out who it was, you were like, well, yeah, that makes total sense. Like, believe who people say they are when they show you who they are.
He was a billionaire who was probably a murderer.
Correct.
More than likely.
Correct.
Like, no matter how he tried to spin the shit, he had all the symptoms of being a weirdo murderer.
Exactly. And with that, we're gonna end quarter one.
All right.
I know we went a little bit over, but
Yeah,
I felt like that was. I felt like that was a quick hitter for
that
sure.
That shit went so fast. I'm telling y'all right now, I don't understand how that shit went. Blinked. It blinked. Literally, I blinked and he was like quarter. I'm like, what the fuck?
I know, bruh.
I'm just getting my legs warmed up.
I know.
Gotta move on. We gotta move on.
All right, so let's walk us through quarter two.
Okay.
Quarter two.
Now,
Ayati.
quarter two is going to be a different type of love, where it's more of a you're trying to find love. So we're going to talk about a show called Pop the Balloon or Find Love. This is a hit YouTube dating show by Arlette Amuli. Yeah, I hope I said that right. I be fucking up people's names. That's all good. All right, on the show, Arlette introduces 10 single ladies, each is given a balloon and a toothpick. Then she brings out the first single guy, and once the guy comes around the corner, the ladies get the opportunity to pop the balloon. The show is great because as soon as you pop that balloon, it's a visual representation of a no. But the objective is for that guy to try to get to the end and try to make a connection with whoever has a balloon left. And the reason the show is great is because Arlette is messy as fuck.
Yeah.
So she doesn't just let you pop the balloon. She come up there and ask you, why'd you pop the balloon? And she wants you to say the most wild shit, and every time it's some wild shit. So with that said, how have you enjoyed this love show?
So I've only watched a couple of episodes. You introduced me to this, and I guess Ashley introduced you to this.
This is me vicariously watching this shit. Like, what the fuck is this?
Like, what's really going on? So for me, it feels real and fake at the exact same time, right? Like, it feels like, okay, like the people are real. It's not like a Love is Blind or a Love Island, which we may get to a little bit later, like where it's like very highly produced Like they very, very specifically handpick people who have super, super big Instagram followings, blah, 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 blah. It is very like, oh, this is what reality TV should look like.
It feels grassroots, right?
It feels very organic and very grassroots.
With
Yeah.
with a white sheet. Come on over to my dating show real quick. That's how I feel, right?
Exactly. But then at the same time, it feels fake because it's like you can tell that there are definitely people that are on the show that are there just to promote their music or just to promote their content creation or their show or whatever they do as a young person. But then there was also like there's a lot of value there too because it was people that were like, okay, I'm in the finance industry, I do this, I'm in tech, I'm in cybersecurity, so like. I felt like it was a diaspora, man, for sure, of blackness, and I was kind of here for it. Like there were ratchet moments, but then there were ratchets where it was like, you know what, like both parties are elevating and talking on a level that really makes sense, and that I could vibe with. But what are your thoughts?
All right, so the show, for me, I'm trying to like think hypothetically, would I ever go on this show? And I was like. Probably not. I couldn't find myself going out to Arizona and put myself out there like that. So I got mad respect for people that do it.
For sure.
But then, another side of me is like, I want to see where my stock is at. I want to call there and see how many balloons pop on me real quick. We call out there, I'm an electrician. I do this. See them up, pop, 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 and see if I've been handling myself pretty well. You know, see what happened. But what got my first introduction to the show was it was a plumber that came on, and he looks like a Ninja Turtle. He looks like a Ninja Turtle. And one of the girls said it. He looked like a Ninja Turtle. But
like the way he dressed or his features?
He looked like a Ninja Turtle. He got a bald head, kind of big and shit, and he a plumber. So it's like in the sewers and shit, it was just funny. The girl, it was a viral moment. But they say he was mean as fuck. But he was like just responding to me criticism. He lost his job as a plumber because of the shit he said.
Dang.
Because I ain't never seen nobody can make the word queen become derogatory. He was calling everybody queen, but it's just like, from now on, when you call somebody queen,
it means something
that shit
else.
mean, hey man, get the fuck out of my face. If he said, look queen, no problem queen, you don't qualify queen. It's just the word queen got transformed to me by Pop the Balloon Show in this moment. So that's what introduced me to it. And just ever since I've been watching it, I've just been learning that people are petty as fuck. They don't give a fuck. They are making decisions off the most superficial shit. And I'm sitting there like, what you mean? I didn't like your shoes.
Yeah, that's so real. That was a statement.
I didn't like your hair.
Yeah.
Like, it just, pop, 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 pop. And I'm just like.
The worst ones is like, before they even get to Arlette, like they're still walking onto the set, and it's just, and it's, for me, I mean, obviously I've only seen a couple episodes, but that was pretty much exclusively in the women's, like when the women had the balloons, right?
Yeah.
Like, which means like women are more choosy, and I understand. Like, I get it. You know, like.
But the guys are even worse. It's some episodes where it's just that ain't working. They just popping over some bullshit. I'm like, okay, I mean, guys don't think that deeply. Like, this shit, you should have definitely got a lot more balloons than this. These motherfuckers, something wrong. But, yeah, the show has been very entertaining. Yeah. To say the least.
I agree.
As a love show. And I'm just like, for it to be grassroots, YouTube, independent.
Black owned, black run.
Apparently it's a couple that run this. And
they
husband and wife doing it. I gotta. It's a location to me that I feel like I didn't know it was black people in Arizona. I'm gonna be real. I was like, what the fuck, y'all in Arizona?
Other than Devin Booker,
I'm like, the only motherfucker I
and
knew.
Kevin Durant,
and the only ones I knew out there. I was like, there's a lot of black people in Arizona. I just had no idea. So to me, all these pieces coming together, I'm rooting for this show. For so much success. I hope it gets picked up onto like something like a streaming service. Yeah. Like a Peacock or a fucking YouTube or Netflix. Please pick up Pop the Balloon Show so she can be out here doing this messy shit for the whole of the United States.
Yeah. I mean, there obviously the show there are cringy moments, but mostly it is just pure hilarity, and it's interesting watching people speed date in that manner. Yeah. And and with that. That is our first half.
All right,
done.
First half is done.
Done data.
This episode is brought to you by peace, love, and hair grease.
And a little bit of water.
That's all you need, brother. All right, now that the half show is over, we're going to move into our third quarter.
Okay, what are we talking about?
All right. So third quarter, we're going to talk about another version of Love, which is also another dating show.
Okay.
Love Island USA is a reality dating show that is an American version of a UK show of the same name. It's a group of single ladies and gentlemen are sent to an island villa. They match up in pairs, they betray, they split up, they form alliances, they compete in challenges, they vote on each other off the island, and drama ensues. They do this all while being hot and sexy and not wearing shirts and trying to wear bikinis.
Yeah, damn near nothing.
The objective of this show is to try to be voted America's top couple. And that way you can split $100,000. But at the end, there's a twist. They get 2 envelopes, right? And they both got to pick one. But only one of those envelopes have $100,000 in it. And at that moment, you can make a decision to split the money with your couple, or you can just say, fuck it, and I'm going to keep it all for myself.
Dang.
So
that part I was not aware of that part.
And if I'm not wrong, the USA version is the only one that does this. Is love real or is it really about money shit? Mm-hmm. And that's where like everybody like, oh shit.
That's such an American thing too.
Yeah, and I think that nobody else would really find that like nobody would really do some shit like that. But apparently there's been seasons before where motherfuckers like, nah, I'm keeping the money. So it's like you're not sure if the couples are real or they just doing this shit for show to try to make it to the end because it's a couple-based competition show.
Got you.
So, with that said, this year's winners was Cordell Beckham and Serena. And if you're not aware, Cordell Beckham is Odell Beckham Jr.'s younger brother.
Okay. So
with that backdrop, let's jump in for you, brother.
Okay. So I did not watch any of this most recent season of Love Island. I did watch a few episodes of whatever was on Netflix, so I get the premise of the show. Okay. So I guess my I don't really have an opinion other than it's like it feels real and it feels fake at the same time, right? I feel like that's a theme and a thoroughfare for all like dating reality shows.
And that kind of might be an analogy of love.
Is
it
real and fake at the same time? That's
know?
fair. That's wow, that's fair.
Hey brother, I think you birth something here.
That might be one of the more profound things. I mean, because I think in love there are certain like aspects of yourself that you don't % give all the time, especially dependent on where you are in that relationship. And I feel like in these situations particularly, like it took me a while before I could be like completely vulnerable with my wife, right? And that's something that and we've been married for 5 years, have dated and been together for close to 12, maybe 13. Well over a decade, bro.
Like
bro. That's what I'm saying. And so I think there's a progression that as you get more and more comfortable. So I understand that's why it feels fake and real at the same time, because it's like how much of me do I really want to show this person who I'm still trying to impress in court? What are your thoughts on it?
I was like watching this shit vicariously once again. Ash watching shit on TV, and I'm saying, what the fuck is this? So once I found out, kind of really watching it, I was mad as fuck. Like Cordell is like a typical good guy. Mm-hmm. I'm glad he won the show, but he stood by his chick. They paired up in the beginning, and they just been rocking the whole time. But she was doing him grimy dirty.
Right, super dirty.
With these little switch offs, and you could try out new dates and shit. He was always letting her know it wasn't nobody else, but she was always like, I'm not sure. And at the last minute, he finally said, fuck it, I'm gonna bring this other chick in. And she just lost her shit, calling him all kind of, you nappy head motherfucker, woo, shit, man. He was like, damn, the only reason I tried because you made it seem like I wasn't, like I should.
Mm-hmm.
So that had got me riled up on the riled side. Also, I kind of fell in love with certain characters.
For sure. You definitely do establish favorites.
There's a fellow Virgo on the show named Rob. He always walked around in overalls. That's all. Just overalls, no shirt on. And he's like a typical Virgo. And I was like, this man is me. This snake wrangling motherfucker is me. I love overalls. I wear them.
Yeah, the last time we saw each other, our last episode, you wore overalls. The time before that, you wore overalls.
I will wear overalls all the time if I can get away with it. I will wear them shits to work. It's just a great pair.
Farmer Ayati out here.
It's just kind of who I am inside. Mm-hmm, that's kind of how I fell in love with the show. And it's like those little pieces like that. Now, with the drama that ensued, because apparently the show is long as fuck. It come on every day.
It's like
live.
25 plus episodes, man.
I was like, okay, this is too much investment for me. But apparently it was like one of the most watched shows right now. And it has a similar theme to it's taking elements of Big Brother, because that 24-hour somebody watching you type of shit. So it's like camera on you at all moments. That's how it's like that real reality, because you can't really hide people watching you. So
which I love Big Brother, by the way. Big Brother is great.
I've never watched it. I'm
bro,
vicariously watching that shit.
Big Brother's great. Survivor's another great one. That's not about love though.
But we can make it.
I mean, there have been relationships that have formed from Survivor. But anyway, continue.
But yeah. So it's like, man, I don't know, man. I'm just like, I'm still torn on that this show was that big, but apparently I was like, fuck. Motherfuckers really own this shit. Like,
well, I mean, I think a lot of it is just like who we are as a society and as a culture. Like, number one, we are voyeurs by nature, I think, and so which is why social media is so big, right? Like, because we compare ourselves, right? And so like everybody's watching for, and there's a spectrum too. Like everybody's watching for different reasons too, right? Like some people are literally, and I know we're like at time.
You need a timeout?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and call that timeout. So I know, like, you know, like just our culture is very much so like we are voyeurs by nature, and so like some people are watching for the hot bodies, some people are watching for like to see if there's for the drama, some people are watching to see if there's going to be a genuine connection, right? Like, and so everybody can get in where they fit in, and let's be honest, like these folks they're unpaid actors at the end of the day, and like for them it's like it's an opportunity for them to get visibility in a way that they probably weren't going to get visibility, and a lot of these motherfuckers end up becoming like serial contestants on these love shows on these different networks. Like Netflix has built in like a whole fucking dating ecosystem where they just rotate from show to show to show to show, and it's because they are now becoming TV personalities and not necessarily people, which I think is essentially what the reality TV show and the real versus fake is all about.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do a timeout.
Timeout. Okay, keep it pushing. Go ahead.
So there's two pieces I want to add. So another fan favorite for me was the homie Miguel.
Okay, let's talk about Miguel.
My boy walked in like Shamar Moore. Was that motherfucker when he walked in like, hey, I'm here.
I'm here.
And he could just do whatever the fuck he wanted. And I respected it. I was just like, my man's just doing his thing. And I was kind of like wanting him to win, even though I think he was like the evil character. Mm-hmm. He was like what they call I forgot what the fuck they call him, like a hot, it's like when they slide these other temptation people in.
Okay.
I forgot the damn term for it. Y'all gonna try to correct me in the comments on what
all of this is very casual for us. So
he wasn't an original character member on the island. He just got brought in later.
It was a bombshell.
Bombshell.
Okay,
this one is a bombshell.
Wow. How did we do that?
I think it was a bombshell. So I'm like, oh shit. And he just had that swag on their ass. So I liked him as a character. And there's, I guess, a lot of drama drew out this other character called Kendall. I didn't like his ass in jump.
Well, yeah, I mean, apparently there's been a lot of drama with him and his lady after the show ended. Now that like all the reunion stuff is coming out. But
we won't go into that.
We won't. Yeah. Go watch the show if you like what you heard for these last 6 to 8 minutes, and holler back at us.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to quarter 4. What you got in store for us, Jay?
Quarter 4. So, you know, the theme is love and the element. And we're going to talk about this Tyrese Breakfast Club interview.
Okay.
So our brother Tyrese came on to the Breakfast Club to promote his upcoming album called Beautiful Pain, and also his upcoming film called 1992. Now, the film is centered in the Rodney King's riot, but really is about a group of heist people who are going to rob a bank, because all this chaos is going on. So apparently, it's to me, got a good ass like premise.
Yeah, I like that.
Because the West Coast with that Rodney King shit, a lot of shit was going on. So it's gonna bring eyes.
Yeah.
And then Tyrese, to me, he sings like he can sing his ass off. I mean, he known for all them like Fast and Furious movies and shit, but I know his ass says, "Sweet lady, would you be my sweet lover a lifetime? I'll be there when you need me. Just call and receive me."
Da, 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 da. Yes, bruh.
That's the Tyrese that we know. So when he's coming back out with another album, I was like, bet. So in this Breakfast Club interview, I say that it goes into our theme of love, because if you do not know, Tyrese has had a very tumultuous, rough last 4 years with saying crazy shit on the internet, posting on social media, going through a very public divorce, still going through that public divorce, and I guess trying to still carry himself through and rebuild himself. So with all that he's been through, he's still on this theme of love is the love. And this interview was funny as fuck. Yeah. With him just saying, I'm a grown-ass man, and I'm going to talk about this love shit, and I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to talk about how I'm going to bash my ex-wife and all this bullshit. When you listen to this album, you might make a baby. That's what he pretty much is telling you. So with that said, I'm not sure if he was able to catch the interview, but how do you feel about that whole backdrop?
I caught a few clips, and I feel like the most impactful clip for me was the one where he talked about like vulnerability, right? Mm-hmm. So like Charlemagne the God like asked him a direct question about like kind of how is he doing, and more specifically how has he been able to process and handle all of the grief from all of the things that you mentioned in our lead-in, and like Tyrese got visibly emotional, began to cry. And they were like, "Yo, you need tissue?" He was like, "No, I don't need no fucking tissue. Like,
I'm not doing this.
He was like, "Black men cry. Like, black men cry." And he said it in such a way that it's like, we have to normalize these things. We have to normalize vulnerability in our community. We have to normalize people going to therapy in our community. We have to normalize black men being able to show emotion, right, in a constructive way, and break some of these cycles and some of these molds that have really kind of held us captive in a lot of respects, right? Like and in a lot of respects, I know for me personally, like, it wasn't until I started going into therapy that I realized like how much of just like my mindset and how I was responding to certain things and how I was processing certain things, I just wasn't able. I didn't have the capacity to do it because I didn't have the tools, right?
Yeah.
And so I think for him that was a really big moment for me, like leaning into vulnerability, leaning into showing emotion in a way that makes sense and is constructive. And let people know that, yeah, we are human too. We bleed just like everybody else. So that was the big takeaway for me. What about you?
For me, a big takeaway was that this recurring theme in my own personal life, as I go to therapy as well, has been, I had to start asking myself this question is this funny or is this trauma? Because my coping mechanism for a lot of the bullshit that I go through with me and my family, the way we got through a lot of our shit, we just make that shit funny as fuck.
Yeah,
like
levity.
I tell you some shit, Terry, and we be talking offline, and you be laughing, and I be realizing that this is really some trauma I'm talking about. I'll tell you, I could retell you a story about me getting shot at, or like not being able to pay for school or some shit, or just shit going left, or me breaking a hand, just shit going random. But I could tell this traumatic event in a way that's funny as fuck. Mm-hmm. And Tyrese was telling some funny shit in that interview, but if you really listen to what this motherfucker said, this shit was heart-wrenching.
Yes.
And it's like, damn, bruh. And it's just like, to me, it's a very West Coast, interview.
Yeah, it felt very Katt Williams to me, a little bit. Yes. Just like in the vibe, the energy, the vulnerability, the honesty.
Being honest but funny as fuck what he said. Because he said some offensive shit in that video,
he did.
and I laughed. And I'm going to laugh. I don't care if any of y'all think I'm wrong for laughing at some of that shit he said, because it was funny as fuck to me. From talking about the type of music he playing, that he's making on his album, and who he don't want to even be at his concert. He's like, if your hair purple and you under 18, I don't even want you at my concert. I was like, what?
If your hair is purple.
Said, I go to clubs where it's 21 and up. If you ain't 21 and up, don't come to my shit. I'm just like, damn, Tyrese. But it was just like funny the way he was saying these things. And I'm like, yeah, it got a hint of prejudice in there.
Yeah.
A hint of offensiveness, but it was funny. I'm sorry. And I feel like it resonated with me because I do that often. Yeah. When I'm talking about things that people be like, you know, the normal person ain't never went through none of this shit, right? And I'm like, oh, really? Well, shit, to me, it's just some funny shit. And it's how me and my family get down. And I'm starting to ask myself that question, like, damn, is this me or is this trauma? Is this funny or is this trauma? And I think that was a very powerful interview. And if you have not seen the Tyrese Breakfast Club interview, it's definitely worth a watch, because it's not only entertaining and you're not just going to be consuming and wasting your time. There's some nuggets and some things you can take from it. And 100%. For me, I like to watch things that kind of kill time, but there's something I could take away from it. And this is one of them ones that you will definitely get something from it.
For sure.
With that 45, 50 minutes if you just watch it real quick. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. And with that, that's our show.
That was another goddamn quarter.
Well, it was a quick sprint.
Man, we are out of there.
Quick sprint. So go out and like, subscribe, share, follow, comment. If there are things in particular that you also want us to cover or talk about,
please
hit us in the comments. Slide into our DMs at New to the Game Pod on IG. And you can always hit us up on YouTube as well.
It's that off season. What are you doing in your off season?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
we're trying to figure out things to stay occupied.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Definitely let us know. Hey, why don't y'all talk about this? This is the time.
Yeah.
We got to October?
October, yeah.
So
mid to late October.
We didn't go win gold medals or nothing, but during the off season. But we can do some shit. During the off season, so we're gonna do that as well.
Exactly. We appreciate y'all watching and listening. And with that being said, Ayati,
stay casual.